Don't you hate those food ads on TV? You know, you recognize that the actors have been in there for like 5 hours and waiting for something better in life. And the chef comes up and says, now here's a cold, really hard, greasy hamburger. Pretend you're eating it and enjoy it. You know the ones I mean. And they go with a really accentuated chewing behavior. And then I think the best ones I love is when they've got that, and then you actually see the hamburger or something like that, and it hasn't even got a bite taken out of it. So, what am I talking about food for? Like, you're probably saying, this is a bit odd, even for Peter, who normally diverges down all sorts of rabbit holes. Well, I was thinking I had 3 business meetings last week. Now, because I'm a commercial real estate agent, a lot of my clients start work at 6 or 7 in the morning. So, there's quite often a lot of instances where I have early morning meetings. And I had one with the manufacturers industry group at Maryborough. Now, Maryborough for me means to get there for a 7 a.m. start is 4:30 leaving from home. So commercial real estate is not for the faint-hearted. You know, most of my sisters and brothers who are in residential real estate agent, they're probably going to be sleeping for the next 4 hours after that. But that's the type of industry I work in, and it was a really good meeting. We had pretty much an update on the industry, and I just wanted to share some of the main parts on it because I really am having a gut feel that manufacturing clients and heavy industrial clients are really going to start making a move. And it's always good to know if your intuition is right. So, the first thing that they mentioned is if you consider the whole world of the Australian economy. So you got mining, you got transport, you got um, banking and finance, you got property services, you got manufacturing, you got farming. Put all that together, and 12 months ago, manufacturing sector had about 16% of that industry. Now it's at 20%. It doesn't sound like much, but what that means is, that's an extra 4%. 4% divided by 16, that's a 25% growth for the manufacturing industry. Now, we need to recognize that the manufacturing industry is a big industry and it's also a very diverse geographic industry. So, when I talk in terms of a manufacturing um, cabinet maker in Bundaberg, you can't really compare that to a light engine manufacturer in Melbourne. But putting all these things into place, you recognise that the industry is definitely starting to pick up. Yes, it's probably from a low base. It's been pretty sad and miserable for a couple of years, as a lot of our industries have, and but it's definitely picking up. So that was one thing that I really liked about it. So why is it that the manufacturing industry is picking up? Well, there's probably 3 or 4 things. One is the economy is growing. Now, people can bitch and moan all they like about immigration and changing of demographics in the city areas with a lot of people moving out to regional areas, but there's economic growth, and that is one of the factors. When you have an economy that's growing, people need more machines, people need more things made, houses need more stuff, and all that comes back to the manufacturing sector. So population growth is another area which I touched on. That tends to increase the requirement for goods and services, and manufacturing is all about goods, whether it's construction, the likes of that as an industry as well. The Probably the third option is there's been a fair bit of investment put into manufacturing. A lot of manufacturing has always been a good industry that the trailblazers have always been keen to use technology, have brought in new machines, have looked for productivity increases. And one of the things Australia hasn't done well for probably maybe 10, 20 years now, so we've not really done a lot of work in increasing productivity. But there's been a fair bit of investment, and I've got some amazing manufacturers who've got new CNC machines, new CAD design machines. The productivity is increased dramatically in regards to it takes less time for them to make the things that they do, and the quality is much more reliable. It's also more cost efficient, even allowing for the increasing demands of workplace health and safety and legislation. A lot of the key movers and players who have been putting investment in their businesses have been reaping the rewards. And now, if your marketplace has grown by 25%, they're really starting to reap in the big returns on those ones, and they're able to handle the increased workload. So that is part of the reason why the industry is going well. And particularly in Queensland, probably a fourth reason why manufacturing is growing is we most of our manufacturers, probably half our manufacturers, are regional based. So outside of Gold Coast, Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, Southeast Corner, it's more in the regional base. And that means that they are close to the resource and energy markets. Being close, it gives you speed, it gives you cost efficiencies. I've got clients in a lot of country towns who are manufacturing, and they are so close to their customers, you almost think they're a retail market. So that is another factor for their growth. It also ensures that they have more longevity of holding on to close contracts because a big resource company, if they're getting good service from a local town, they have quotas, and they also have a desire to support local towns because they get a lot of staff from that, and that means that they're a little bit hesitant to be getting stuff from overseas, a little bit hesitant even to get stuff further away. So the manufacturing sector is quiet, sleepy, but starting to yawn and stretch, and these are good things. As I mentioned, the manufacturing industry is a huge industry with lots of sectors, and some sectors are performing better than others. Probably the leading one is machinery and equipment, which is excellent because it means that other manufacturers and construction businesses buying machinery, and they buy machinery because they want to improve their own businesses. So it's almost like uh, that snowball effect. You've got someone making machines because someone else is buying the machines, and someone's buying those machines because they're making something else or doing something else with it. So that's a not a self-fulfilling prophecy, but definitely a synergistic arrangement. Petroleum and chemicals is probably the second fastest growing industry right now. And yeah, that's interesting because I have to admit I haven't done a lot of work in petroleum and chemicals, but I do know that it's confusing. One minute you've got Coles and Woolworths dominating the industry, next minute they're out of the industry. When I grew up, every corner had a service station, and 20 years later on, all those quiet service stations have been turned over and turned into something else or demolished. And now I'm seeing every corner's got a service station. That seems to have tapered off a little bit in the last 8 to 12 months. But yeah, it's an industry that confused me. And chemicals outside of agriculture and perhaps lubricants, I don't have a lot of exposure in that area, but I do know that there's a lot of material that's being manufactured in that space. And that's also seasonally driven for agriculture people. Where there's a lot of rain, they don't use a lot of fertilizer, and they don't use a lot of nutrients for the cattle and stock. So weather is a big factor, and seasonality. Southeast Queensland's being absolutely drenched this last 6 or 12 months. And, Cyclone Alfred looks like it's going to come in land and dump another heap of water on there. Our prayers to the guys in Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, and Gold Coast. It might be famous last words, but in Bundaberg, we're probably used to a little bit more cyclones than what they are. It's been 50 years since they had a cyclone down there. A category 2, don't listen too much to the media. A category 2 basically means an adult male can walk in a straight line, but if you turn your head and go off balance, you start to look like a drunk. You sort of veer a little bit. The lighter ladies and kids, yeah, just keep them indoors. It's just too strong, and you're going to get drenched. But that's just part and parcel of a wet season that we've had. But yeah, let's hope the damage is minimal. And metal products is probably a third industry that's doing well, and that one has a lot of impact for Wide Bay where I work in because I have a lot of fabricators, a lot of welders, anything from also sideline businesses associated with that, such as screens and doors, window frames. There's a large section of the industry that's covered by metal fabrication and metal products. So I'm really happy to see that, especially the fact that I've got a couple of those listed up for sale. So if you want bargain time, now is the time to be calling me before the prices rise. And probably the final thing that makes it different, I mentioned it a little bit, is they really made a big emphasis at the workshop of the fact that Queensland in particular and regional areas outside of Queensland as well. So New South Wales country area and Victoria country area. 50% of our manufacturers are outside of the capital cities. And to be honest, I'm just thinking of the last two manufacturing inquiries I've had. One was for a country manufacturer, and that was I had a phone call from a buyer who's in Melbourne and looking to get out of Melbourne because it's just too hard, too expensive to make a living doing what he does. He does parts for the aeronautical industry. And the other client I've had is in central coast of New South Wales, so just outside the hub of hub of suburbia, and they are looking to expand north. They've got they manufacture parts for transport. So watch this space. I will actually see if I can put on a couple of videos that should come up in these two boxes here pretty soon, which show some of the manufacturing businesses I've got. So it's a good option both for someone who's looking to run the business and for those who are looking for an investment with some good capital gains. If you've got any questions or if you have a different understanding or supporting understanding, leave me some comments. And please make sure you subscribe so you can get more updates by industry as well as region. All right, take care and God bless.